The bathroom light was too bright, too honest, and my hands were gripping the sink like it might disappear. My reflection felt softer. Not just in the obvious ways, the curve of my cheeks, the gentler line of my jaw, but in my eyes. They held something unfamiliar. Vulnerability. Openness. A quiet courage I didn't remember earning. "This isn't real," I whispered. But my voice didn't sound like it used to either. It trembled, not with fear alone, but with a strange, electric awareness. Like something inside me had shifted overnight and refused to go back. I had known estrogen would change me. I'd read every forum, every medical page, every anonymous confession posted at 2 a.m. by people who sounded like me but braver. Still, knowing something intellectually doesn't prepare you for the moment it becomes personal. For the shock of waking up and realizing the rules you lived by no longer apply. I leaned closer to the mirror. My skin looked different, brighter somehow, like it was learning a new language. I touched my face, half expecting the illusion to break. It didn't. Instead, a slow breath escaped me, and with it, a thought that made my chest ache. Who am I becoming? The first few days felt like walking through fog. At work, I caught my reflection in the elevator doors and flinched, not because I hated what I saw, but because it felt exposed. My clothes sat differently. My posture was changing without my permission. People looked at me a second longer than usual, trying to place something they couldn't quite name. "Everything okay?" my coworker asked one afternoon, eyes narrowing slightly, not suspicious, just curious. "Yeah," I said too quickly. "Just tired." That wasn't a lie. I was exhausted from monitoring myself constantly. My walk, my voice, my expressions. Every laugh felt louder. Every emotion closer to the surface. The emotional shifts hit harder than I expected. I cried over a commercial. I felt joy spike and linger instead of passing through me like a ghost. At lunch, I sat alone, stirring my food without eating, listening to the hum of conversation around me. I felt like I was behind glass, still present, still participating, but changed enough to notice the difference. My phone buzzed with a message from my sister. "You've been quiet lately. You okay?" I stared at it for a long time before typing back, "I'm figuring things out." Which was the truest thing I'd said all week. At home, the walls felt safer. That's where the real exploration began, not dramatic, not glamorous, but tentative and deeply personal. I started small. Softer fabrics. A different way of brushing my hair. Letting my hands move with less tension, my shoulders drop instead of staying squared and defensive. One evening, I stood in my bedroom holding a dress I'd owned for months but never dared to wear. It was simple, nothing flashy, but it carried weight. Possibility. Fear. I slipped it on slowly, like I might spook myself. The fabric hugged me in a way that felt intentional, like it knew something I was still learning. I turned in front of the mirror, heart pounding, every sense heightened. The dress didn't make me someone else. It revealed someone who had been waiting. I practiced my voice quietly, testing tones, rhythms, softness. Sometimes I laughed at myself. Sometimes I cried. Mostly, I listened. To how my body responded. To what felt natural instead of forced. There was excitement there, yes, but also grief. For the years I'd spent numb. For the version of myself who thought survival meant silence. I sat on the edge of the bed, dress pooling around my legs, and let the reality sink in. Estrogen wasn't just changing my body. It was dissolving my armor. The first time I went out like that, really out, not just a quick step onto the balcony, I thought my heart would give out. It was a Saturday afternoon, quiet enough to feel manageable. I chose a cafe a few blocks away, familiar but not too familiar. I laid my outfit carefully, practiced my breathing, checked my reflection one last time. "You can turn back," I told myself at the door. But my hand opened it anyway. Every step outside felt amplified. The sound of my shoes on the pavement. The brush of air against my legs. I kept my gaze forward, aware of every passing glance, every shift in energy. Inside the cafe, the barista smiled. Just smiled. "What can I get you?" she asked, like this was the most normal thing in the world. I ordered. My voice wobbled, then steadied. She didn't blink. When she called my name, it felt like a small victory echoing through my chest. I sat by the window, hands wrapped around a warm cup, watching life move on without collapsing under the weight of my choice. The fear didn't vanish, but it softened, made room for something else. Pride. Not everyone adjusted so easily. A friend pulled me aside one night, concern etched across their face. "You're changing," they said gently. "I know," I replied. "I just don't want you to get hurt." I nodded. "Neither do I. But hiding was hurting me too." They didn't answer right away. Then, quietly, "I can see that you're more you. Even if I don't understand all of it yet." That was enough. The real confrontation came at work, during a meeting that had nothing to do with me, until it did. A comment. A look. A moment where I realized I could keep shrinking to fit expectations or stand in the truth I'd been building piece by piece. My heart raced. My palms were slick. "I need to say something," I heard myself say. The room went still. "I'm going through changes," I continued, voice steady despite the storm inside me. "They're important. And they're not something I'm ashamed of." Silence stretched. Then a nod. Then another. The world didn't end. The weeks that followed felt lighter. I stopped apologizing with my body. I let myself take up space. I found community, people who spoke my language without explanation, who celebrated the milestones others overlooked. One night, surrounded by laughter and shared stories, I realized something profound. I wasn't becoming someone new. I was uncovering who I'd always been. I thought the hardest part was over. That once the mirror stopped startling me, once my body settled into its new rhythm, life would simply continue. I was wrong. The shock of estrogen didn't end with physical change, it rippled outward, touching every corner of my life, forcing conversations I'd avoided for years. Because becoming visible comes with a cost. And visibility invites judgment. The first crack appeared at home, in the quietest way possible. I was folding laundry when my phone rang. My mother's name lit up the screen, and my chest tightened instantly. She didn't call often, texts were safer, less revealing. "Hi," I answered, already bracing myself. Her voice sounded careful. "I saw your pictures." My hands froze mid-fold. I knew which pictures. The ones I'd finally posted. Nothing dramatic. Just me. Smiling. Soft. Honest. "Oh," I said. There was a pause. The kind that stretches, heavy with unsaid words. "You look different," she said. "I am different," I replied, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. Another pause. Then, quieter, "Are you happy?" That question hit harder than anything else. Not why, not what will people say, not is this a phase, just are you happy? I swallowed. "I think, for the first time, I'm learning how to be." She exhaled slowly. "I don't understand everything," she admitted. "But I can hear it in your voice. You sound lighter." I closed my eyes, feeling something loosen in my chest. I am. That wasn't acceptance, not fully, but it was a door opening. And for now, that was enough. Not everyone was so gentle. There were whispers at work. Glances that lingered too long. A joke that landed wrong and stayed with me all day. Each one chipped at my confidence, reminding me that empowerment isn't a straight line, it's a muscle you have to keep using, even when it aches. One afternoon, I locked myself in a bathroom stall, heart racing, tears threatening. I stared at the floor, at my shoes, at the familiar urge to disappear. "You asked for this," a cruel voice whispered in my head. But another voice, newer, stronger, answered back. "No. You chose yourself." I wiped my eyes, straightened my posture, and walked back out. That moment didn't feel heroic. It felt necessary. The real test came one evening when I ran into someone from my past, someone who knew me before. We stood there, the air thick with recognition and confusion. "Wow," they said, eyes scanning me openly. "You've changed." "Yes," I said simply. "So what, you're..." They stopped themselves, then shrugged. "I just didn't expect this." "I didn't either," I replied. "But here I am." They looked uncomfortable, shifting their weight. "Doesn't it scare you? Just becoming someone else?" I smiled softly. What scared me was pretending I wasn't. They didn't know what to say after that. And for once, neither did I feel the need to fill the silence. Something remarkable happened as I kept choosing honesty. The world didn't suddenly become kind, but I became kinder to myself. I started taking photos without flinching. I laughed louder. I stopped rehearsing apologies before speaking. I let joy arrive without questioning whether I deserved it. One night, standing in front of the mirror again, I caught my own reflection mid-smile, unguarded, genuine. I barely recognized the person I used to be. And instead of mourning them, I thanked them for surviving long enough to get me here.